dipped my hand in the blood of an ancient god and was given
Okay.
the gift of prophecy. Welcome to Draft. It's game number 1 of our second semi-final here at the Spark Invitational quarterfinal. I apologize. This will be a best-of-5 series. The next day of games, the semi-finals, once we get there, will be best-of-7, which I believe is the longest series we've had yet in Wild Rift. I don't think we've gone best-of-7 yet. But Chinese tournament organizers do love a good best-of-7. We used to have those all the time at AOV, and best-of-9s for finals. It got a little ridiculous.
Best of 9, it's all about stamina, not just for the players, but also for the casters, right? A ban so far, there's going to be Lucian, Darius, and Akali for TFC. And for TyLoo, you have Camille, Fiora, and then Ziggs. Gragas is still open if ever on one of our teams would want to get their hands on that. Also, you raised a problem earlier about the face cams. Paul's here. He said, just attach reverse GoPros to their heads. Problem solved.
I think that's a really... So here's the other problem, right? Because you can do that, and what you get there is the camera below them, looking up at their face. But the second you do that, look at what they're doing. They're holding the phone up in front of them. So a shot that comes from below is actually blocked by the player's phone, which they're going to want in front of the camera. So I don't know, it's a real problem. One of the AOV events I did used the face cams built into the phones, but I only saw that once. They used the selfie cameras built into the phones, but I only saw one event ever do that, and I have no clue how they did that. So I don't know if it's repeatable technology or just something special that they were able to do for that one event. Anyway.
Maybe it's something special. But jumping back into the draft though, TFC final picking up this Olaf and this Varus for TyLoo. They went in with the Riven, could be in the jungle, could be in the Baron, and the usual ADC or mid laner, which is going to be Corki.
Corki scaling very well towards the late game. Varus is going to win out over that, though, because the mid game, earlier spike, and backline access. Corki's teamfight mobility is his biggest strength, because he moves very effectively around teamfights as an AD carry. Varus doesn't need to. He's got long arms, big arrows. Can just sit at the back of the fight and reach into the backline without needing access personally. But it means that you need to protect that Varus, because it can move very slowly. So look for... I assume this is going to be the Gragas support. Look for something from the top lane that has a ton of CC, that has a ton of stuns, like an Aurelia, that can provide that ancillary backup for this Varus, as it will be Gragas and Aurelia kind of playing goalkeeper. And look for TyLoo, if they're reading this draft correctly, to get some more backline access. Jarvan is a lot of the way there. Jarvan's going to help, but I would actually love something in the mid lane that can dodge out on the front line, because everything they have right now, Jarvan and Riven are direct line of sight engaged. They need to go forward through the team, and they don't have anything they can get around behind it yet.
I mean, if you're talking about the mid laner, Ahri still open. I was about to say Diana, but TFC did pick that up. Let's see if TyLoo will be adding in the Nine-Tailed Fox in their lineup. But looks like they're gonna go over with the Orianna. Basically, just fight fire with fire. Go full-on team fight.
Just going for the Jarvan Castle composition, where you throw down the Jarvan pot and you use that as a cauldron to start making some stew. And once you have the Cataclysm down, you have a really good composition to follow that up here. Corki does really good AoE to anyone caught inside of it. Obviously, there's the Orianna Shockwave. Obviously, you can follow that up with Galio's Heroic Entrance. But it does also mean that, like you were talking about, this is going to be a front-to-back team fight. They're going to start with the Jarvan, and they're going to throw everything on top of that, which means if the Jarvan doesn't find Varus on engage, that Varus can sit behind the front line that's caught in Jarvan and race to out damage, race to outscale. So a lot of this game, as a result of both teams handshaking into front to back, is going to depend on the laning phase. It's going to depend on the first 10 minutes of game, as we see which of the key carries get out ahead, and whether or not this Varus can survive early pressure.
At the very least, I do agree with what you said, Varus being the main damage dealer. But if we're gonna compare the two ADCs, if Corki is going over to the Dragon lane, I guess Corki has a bit of the advantage because he can just reposition with the Valkyrie or the special delivery, whereas Varus, he's just forced to, if you have a melee champion right at his face, he's just forced to take in the damage or the CC.
But Varus is COVID compliant. and he can social distance from the team fights and stay out of range of the engage.
Okay.
And that's the bonus, especially with the Gragas alongside him. Sometimes you have trouble in the grocery store maintaining 6 feet of distance. And Gragas is the dad who goes to the grocery store with you and is able to push people away and say, no, stay 6 feet apart. That's what you look for the Gragas support to do in this composition, and I think it can work, but it will depend on the Varus having enough damage that people have to respect it. Right. If the full Varus arrows aren't doing enough damage that people are worried about it, then you're not going to be able to actually access the backline. We also have a bit of a kind of weird just throw in here from TFC in the form of the Diana. I'm not really sure what to make of the fact that the front of this composition is Diana, Aurelia, Olaf, because it doesn't really synergize very well with a Varus who wants to sit on the backline. And if they don't get a gold lead, if they aren't ahead and forcing, and again, scary, forcing TyLoo to respect the engage, then it's actually going to be kind of difficult to defend this Varus.
Now we're hopping into game 1, but looks like a lot of pokes coming through and connecting onto this Gragas. So I would like to touch up on what you said about the Diana pick. It's the ultimate plus the explosive cast. It's kind of counterproductive. But at the very least, I'm thinking one Moonfall here will connect onto the piercing arrow from Varus. And maybe that's something TFC could look into. But looking now at the Baron lane, just the usual Riven. And then you have the Aurelia stunts did come through earlier on, but Riven is still going to be okay.
Yeah, Riven's going to be chilling up there. And we've had a very Riven-focused day today. This will be, I believe, our 4th of the day. In the earlier series, there was a lot of priority on Riven towards the late game, and Rain should be looking for that as well. Very scary character, very busted character if you can snowball early. Very competent team fighter once you get to the late game, because Riven just has really good AoE stuns, AoE CC, which again combos perfectly with the Cauldron comp, the Kettle comp, that TyLoo have around Jarvan Orianna.
Oh, Olaf visiting here the mid lane, but looks like J4 will also try to visit the mid lane. But looking here at the Baron lane, though, you have first coming through from Aurelia. No actual commitments just yet. Both of them could possibly be waiting for their ultimate. But Aurelia just going to focus on clearing out the minion wave. Stuns coming through. Will he go all in? Looks like he is going to dive under turret, but still was not able to finish off the kill. Here comes Olaf, though. That is going to be a flash out from Ran. Will he be able to run to his safety? That is going to be a yes, because Olaf was not able to just jump in earlier.
He lives! That is ridiculous! Rain with a perfectly timed barrier, and Carryman with a terribly timed undertow. That axe really was awful. And the combination means that TFC, despite playing the lane very well, don't get first blood. They do get a massive advantage up top, though, which is important. The Aurelia winning that early duel means that they're going to be able to free back with an item advantage. They're coming back to this lane with the Vamp Scepter and the attack speed buff from the short swords. So on the opposite side, Rain has only gotten the Kindle Gem. That's what we call a dub. That's what we call a win.
Both summoner spells has been used by the two Baron laners, though. But looking back here up top, looks like Riven still being shoved near the turret area. J4 though could jump in with the gank. Ultimate is still available for Aurelia. She does not have flash. She also does not have the barrier. So this J4 can actually abuse this opening. That is going to be the stuns. It's going to be the flag and drag connecting. Stuns are not going to come through. He is not going to commit just yet, because now Aurelia is safe in her turret's range.
And you can't Cataclysm there, which is the heartbreaking part, because you don't get the kill. So it's not worth burning the Cataclysm. If you do full invest for the Cataclysm underneath the turret onto an Aurelia, things get really scary. And worst case scenario, you end up boosting KG ahead, as it's a bit of a waste of time.
It's going to be the ultimate connecting onto two. It's going to be the kill going over to Gragas. Galio saying goodbye, rather. That is going to be, wow, okay, that was a lot of damage. Beautiful ultimate from that. Of course, that's Varus. Galio had no other choice but to commit his death there. Now Corki, the only one left alive to try and defend this first turret at the Dragon's Lane.
And Dad takes the kill there. You don't really want Ling walking away with the kill in that fight, but it's still bonus gold over to Yixen. It's still bonus gold over to the Varus, who you need to carry your mid game. I said my big question for TFC was how far ahead does Varus get during the laning phase? That's a good start.
It was. It just provides a lot of space for this virus. But looking now at the side of TyLoo, looks like they will have first dibs and the first Drake for the game. So first Dragon buff going over to their side. At the very least, blue team was able to secure Rift Hell on the other side. Now you have the Flag and Drag connecting onto under turret. No actual casualties just yet. You have the body slam connecting onto one. Also being able to support the belt. He is still jumping right at it.
Oh.
But Flag and Drag connecting. He was able to just jump his way to safety. Looking now at the Baron lane side though, that was an unsuccessful gank because Riven and Nagalia was able to just stick together and just stay under turret.
So 2 unsuccessful ganks, it balances out. But the advantage I would still handily give over to TFC. Not only because they do have a slight gold lead right now, but because they get the Rift Herald. And if you've been watching SEA or LPL play recently, it is all about the Rift Herald. Yes, first Drake is nice, but if you're running a team that needs to snowball, which TFC are, given that they're really looking for that Varus to carry them through the late game, given that they need the Diana to have enough damage to protect the Varus during that late game, the Rift Herald is the best investment. And I'm sure it's what TyLoo would have wanted if they hadn't been so far behind up on the top side of the map.
Speaking of the map, so far you have J4 just hiding out at the bushes. Diana did try to look for a possible target there. Now you have Olaf just holding the ground at the mid lane. But now TFC, they are kind of clumped together. Let's see if they will try to go with the pickoff or just try to zone TyLoo out. Riven alone here at the Baron lane side. Still trying to sustain or at least outscale this Irelia. Now you have TyLoo, J4 as well as Galio making their way into the mid lane. Ultimates are still up for both sides. That is going to be the flawless duet connecting. Aurelia is going to commit all in. Blades, which apparently not going to dish that much damage. That is going to be Gragas throwing out a cask. They could go with the kill or the fight or just focus on getting the turret, but looks like turret it is for the side of TFC.
I mean, why press for the kill? The turret's going to give you more gold. First turret break. And here's trouble in mid. Good cask.
Beautiful cast connecting onto the Ariana, but no follow-up. You have the piercing arrow, but they're not going to focus on the kill just yet. And 6 minutes in, there is one kill for TFC side though, but I guess no one actually wants to commit just yet. They just want to play the objective game.
Yeah, this is a winning game for TFC. There's no reason for them to take any silly risks. You saw the way they backed away from that chase underneath the turret. They might get the kills there. I would even say TFC probably get the kills if they full invest there. But there's no reason for them to take even, a 60% chance of success when their odds are higher playing the scaling game. You've got a Rift Herald in your pocket. That pretty much guarantees that you can turn that into the next Drake. And they do have map control and a lead currently, which is going to make it very easy, especially with that first turret down, to start taking away TyLoo's camps, start taking away TyLoo's jungle. The second that starts to happen, TyLoo are just in a losing game. So that's what TFC have to enforce here.
I actually thought they were going to go with 2-1, but apparently they are going to run with the 1-3-1, whereas you have Varus in the back line. You mentioned this. He is just going to be safely nursed at the back lines. That is going to be Corki jumping over for this Diana. That is going to be the initial coming through from the side of TFC. The cask has been stolen, but you have the Cataclysm being popped here by J4. Now a lot of items being used, and that is going to be one Argos being popped. Guy is the first one to actually get taken down. Rift Herald has been summoned as well. It is going to be a 1-0 in favor of TFC.
And Cat9 gets the Dream Cataclysm engaged there onto the backlines, onto Yixin. But Yixin just hits it with Chains of Corruption, and Cat9 has no follow-up. Heroic Entrance has already been spent, nobody else is nearby. And you see a moment there where Cat9 realizes, wait, I cannot stay here. Even though I have the Varus pinned down in the backlines, I am actually trapped in here with the Varus. Decides to bail out. And at that point, with Jarvan low, with Galio low, with the defender of the turret originally Ren dead, there's just no way to hold on to that turret. So Rift Herald gets summoned down there, runs through the turret. Now there's a truly tremendous gold lead building out in favor of TFC as they not only take the turret, but also get a charge against the second, and also grab the second Drake of the game. So TFC's patience, their calm play around the earlier map state is really rewarded here.
Looking back here up top, looks like that is going to be just a Riven being focused to be one who'll be able to make it out of there alive. That is going to be the kill going over to Olaf. And the fact that TFC was able to get a second dragon, that's because the first outer turret for the side of TyLoo has already been taken, so they don't actually have the full-on control there. But looking back into the mid lane, Varus will be safely protected at the back line. Now you have this Gragas at the front line instead. And while they're pressuring mid lane, Aurelia and Olaf slowly making their way into the Baron's pit.
And look at the play that's coming out of both Carrie and the Diana on the map right now. Is they push in around both jungles and steal away some camps, exactly like I asked TFC to do earlier in this game. You were talking, Yuko, about how taking those turrets makes it easier to get objectives, and that's very true. It also makes it easier to steal away camps. It also makes it easier to push wave into turret, because you have so much more room to play with. So it's very hard to play from behind like TyLoo are right now, especially when you're into a team that's aggressive enough to take advantage of it.
Beautiful shockwave coming through from Oriana, and you have the jump in and cataclysm coming through from this J4. You have the knockoffs from Galio, but he does get demolished. Now Varus is actually the second one to get taken down. Riven saying goodbye as well. It was a 1-2-2 in favor of the side of TyLoo, but that is the beautiful jump in from Diana connecting onto the ultimate Oriana, saying goodbye. The beautiful clean out for the side of TFC, and instead they were able to get another kill. Looks like Diana not gonna stop anytime soon. They were able to get that first ace.
And so all of the compositional stuff we were talking about, it does come into play there. You see the benefit of the range on Varus. You also see what an engage can do to a Varus if it lands. Gragas plays the body blocker, but the shockwave pulls Yixen in. He blows flash, but doesn't have any mobility, so he gets caught in Cataclysm and goes down. Here's the problem, though. You remember that secondary consideration I talked about, where I said, now if the top side of the map starts snowballing, there's another win condition for TFC. Here that is. Aurelia, vastly ahead. Diana, vastly ahead. They just steamroll through the second half of this fight, and it doesn't matter. The initial trading went relatively well for TyLoo. They lose everything immediately afterwards.
At the very least, they were not able to get the buff going over to Corki. Cataclysm has been landed yet again, but no actual full commitments. I guess that was ultimate used to try and catch someone off guard. Apparently did not connect. Now Diana is alone at the brown lane side, but we're not gonna actually answer to that challenge. Now you have the top connecting on the two. Oriana already saying goodbye. She's enough corruption, not gonna connect, but at the very least, they were able to take one champion. Now looking here at the top part, that burst coming through from Diana. Goodness me, that Moonfall was able to just eliminate this Corki.
This game's over. Muramana's completed, so just massive gold lead for Yixen. There's almost no way CFC can screw this up. So it's time to have a... Okay, Mark 1 may be in trouble. Cat9 trying to walk forward to steal this. There's just no way that happens. So it's time to have a frank conversation with pro-Varus players, Yuko. And I need you to tell me, you've obviously been casting the PPGL as well, if this is true in that region. I have seen so many missed chains of corruption. The Varus ultimate is not that hard to land. I mean, it's difficult against pro-level movement, but it feels like 90% of the chains of corruption that are used by pro players miss.
I feel like that's just them trying to predict the movements of their enemies, and they tend to just not be able to see the obvious points.
What's going on?
Well, you know what? I'm not a pro player. See right on cue now. That did connect. Looks like they're going to go with the follow through. Oriana already saying goodbye. The next target is going to be Riven, and they are just jumping in. You have the Ragnar being popped. He has his eyes on the opponent's beautiful Moonfall coming through from Diana, but I see not going to connect onto one. Now you have the Flag and Jack connecting. Still looking at the back line. You actually have Rady Aurelia being able to get one kill. A lot of Hourglass being popped. Riven saying goodbye, and the only champion left alive is going to be this Corki, as well as the Galio and the TFC just storming the base of TyLoo.
And that will be game number 1 of this series, done and dusted, sign at the dotted line. TFC built out a massive early game lead in pretty much every lane and roll it all the way over TyLoo to a 1-0 series scoreline in this best of 5.
relatively fast game. I guess they were just able to translate the first blood that they were able to get, as well as you mentioned this. As long as Varus is safe, no problem. And he really was. Even though he missed a few chain up corruptions here and there, but still was able to pull through.
Ahead of us, as it's game number 2 between TyLoo and TFC, and I would describe game number 1 as domination, Yuka.
And I have to agree with that. Literally, TFC did not leave any room for TyLoo to breathe, did not leave them any openings to actually jump in with a comeback. And if you're going to look at the bans, these are the 3 champions that TFC used in the previous game.
Yeah. It does feel a little targeted here. As a result of that, a lot of characters that are normally on the ban list are still up. I want to pay attention to that, especially as the Akali comes through as the first pick. You have a lot of options here for TFC. I would love to see a priority on the Lee Sin. They go for the Darius priority instead, which is similarly perma-banned here in the LPL. How have things been going in the PPGL? Do you have, off the top of your head, an idea of how valued Darius is?
Actually, surprisingly, he is not that valued way back in the regular season. He just gets left in the dust. However, Akali has a lot of eyes on her, as well as Lucian. But still, aside from those 2 other champions, Irelia actually not being picked up that much too.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked by that. I wanted to let you make the point because I know you know much more about it. But in the VODs I saw of the PPGL, Darius has been treated as a mediocre top laner. He doesn't get the emphasis that I think he deserves. And actually, this may not be top Darius. We might be seeing something wild here as TFC draft Darius and Riven on the opposite side because of this strange ban phase. TyLoo get Akali, Lee Sin, Ziggs. All 3 of them.
In just one side. Okay. You also have Nami being picked up by TFC here for an enchant support the back line.
Nami is actually going to be the top laner. I haven't worked out how yet, but...
Wait, what? Hear me out here. Baron lane Nami, you know what? If it works, it's okay. Why not, right? But it could be a mid lane Darius, maybe. Lucian going over to the Dragon Lane side, and now you have a Kaisa Sona, of course, will be making their way into the bottom lane. Let's see who's going to be the last champion for TFC, though, just so we can get the roles right.
Okay, I don't need to see this. This is an insane... We do get an Orianna. This is an insane draft from TyLoo. This is like maybe the best draft I've ever seen a team get away with in professional play. Because they have the early game threat, they have the Lee Sin Kai'Sa, which will bridge them out of the early game. And if the game goes long, you have a game-winning threat there as well between the Sona and the Ziggs. You have the Akali, who's good at any point past mid-game. This is just an incredible draft from TyLoo, and it's astonishing they got away with it. So astonishing, in fact, that I have to have, think of the flip side of it. I have to assume it was given over for a reason. I have to assume TFC have a game plan behind that Riven Darius. Did you manage to catch which character was in which line?
I only ever saw the Riven and Darius in the far right, so I'm not sure if they're done with the switch by that time. Yeah.
Maybe it's a bot lane duo from the region that brought you Senanasis. The LPL's back, baby.
I'm trying to wrap that around my head. Dragon Lane, Riven, and Darius. Who's the support? Who's the actual ADC?
Support works. I do Darius support sometimes, and it works because he has decent stuns on his pull, and he doesn't do a whole lot of damage. But you can stack him. You can just stack up his armor and use his abscond, and then the execute kind of works even if you don't build damage. It's not good. Don't get me wrong. It's not a good pick, but you can play support Darius.
It's possible, the same way we usually label Annie as a support. So, again, we learn new things every day from TJ. Darius support is apparently a thing.
Yeah, so I don't know what to make of this. If I had to guess, it's Darius top and then Riven somewhere weird like jungler mid. And I think mid or jungle actually might work for the same reason, which is it's getting Riven involved in the team fighting a little bit earlier. And Riven actually has decent CC stats. Riven actually does pretty well in 3v3 up because her abilities scale very well to team conflict. So there is value in that if you can boost the Riven out, but she's going to be a snowballing character. And if you put her, in the jungle, she's going to be against the Lee Sin, which I don't like for her, because the Lee Sin will have a very early advantage in terms of clear speed, and a very early advantage in terms of damage for, like, the first 5 minutes. So this is going to be very interesting to see how Carry holds on through the first 5.
And now we're gonna jump into game 2. Now you have 3 champions making their way here at the jungle lane side. But without further ado, you actually have Lee Sin just jumping in, forcing this Nami as well as this solution to go back. Like, they want to start in hot here.
That was a Sona speed boost into that fight, using Mach 1 to go Mach 1 appropriately enough. Traveling into that bottom lane, not achieving anything, but having a great time. And you're going to see...
at the very least, they were able to push the jungle lane duo back.
Did Cat9 get spotted there? I don't think Cat9 got spotted by that Seeker's Ward. The plant that got knocked over there.
I don't think he did, no.
And that's actually huge, because TyLoo might be able to get away with a lot because of that. TFC may call the wrong location, the wrong starting place on the map for this Lee Sin as a result.
And looking here at the mid lane, though, just a satchel being popped there by Ziggs. Not going to connect, though. It's going to be a quick 2v2 at the mid lane, but I don't think they're going to connect. Sonic Wave is not going to connect as well. You have the explosive minefield being laid out by Ziggs. Few damage being taken by Riven as well as Orianna, but they're going to be a-okay. Now, looking at the side for the Baron lane, Akali versus Darius. I guess Akali has the slight advantage just because she's very mobile and she could scale a bit faster, but Darius is all about the sustain. Now you have the heals from Sona. Ooh, okay.
This is everything I want from a Lee Sin. You know me, Yuko. Give me that first 5 minutes Lee Sin presence. Here we go. Flanked by Carryman. In for the fight.
You also have Sona for the sustain, but that is gonna be Lee Sin jumping in, but at the perfect time possible. Stuns coming through from Riven. She is gonna jump in. Was not able to land a kill, though, and this just forces TL to jump back.
This is a 4v4 in the bottom lane at 2 minutes into game.
I'm just actually surprised by how fast-paced these teams are, and I like the adjustments TyLoo did here. Looking back in game number 1, he said TFC, they're all about that fast tempo, and now TyLoo said we can play that game too. Result, we saw 4v4 just under 5 minutes in.
And the only reason the 2 top laners weren't involved is because they didn't have the time to rotate in. They both actually backed around that time. And you could watch on the map, KG was thinking about running down into the bottom lane. It was like, will I get there in time? Probably not. And stayed up top side. TFC playing incredibly quick to match what TyLoo are bringing to game number 2. As TyLoo have very clearly decided to manifest the Lee Sin Kai'Sa duo during that early game as that early game 1-2 punch that we talked about. And I was worried that was going to result in, okay, well, you're just going to be behind through the early game for TFC, a mid-game team. Here we go.
That was a good ultimate coming through from this Lee Sin, but that is going to be 2v1. Let's see if Darius will be able to just juggle this one out. Riven decides to join the party. Twitter chat has already been used, and TL is just going to fall back again. No casualties still, but it was a nice attempt for TyLoo.
So I was worried that this was just going to be a massive advantage for TyLoo in the early game, but Carryman's doing an incredible job on the map of rotating into these fights. This is a really stellar jungle performance from Carryman. Not going for the full 2v2, not going for the full 4-on-4 in the bottom lane, not going into a fight versus Cat9 where the Lee Sin damage probably does win out, but instead being there to zone, being there to play with the advantage of turret. We haven't actually seen TFC step out ever from behind their turrets yet, because it doesn't favor them, but they are playing really well behind those turrets, making sure that TyLoo can't earn out an early lead from their incredibly powerful early game composition.
Indeed. I was actually going to say that for now, Lee Sin or side of At least TL, they already have first dibs on this dragon, but still have the shockwave from this Oriana. Let's see if that is gonna pull through. You have the shadow coming through from this Sona, but that is gonna be the bomb being thrown out by Ziggs as well. TFC, look at their positioning there, just come together. That is gonna be the stuns coming through from this Riven. Sona saying goodbye, and now TL is just forced to jump back. Shuriken Flip is gonna try to save this Akali. Apparently did not connect onto this Lucian. Very least, no one died. And still a pretty even match though, despite the fact that TFC was able to get that first dragon.
But I think that's disproportionately good for TFC, as it means that they're going to be able to leave this early phase of the game with a minor advantage. And this was the early phase that TyLoo was forecasted to be most dominant in. As we go into the mid-game, this is the spike here for TFC. Once we go late, Sona comes online and is real hard to deal with. So during these next 5-10 minutes, TFC need to take over the game. I'm not going to talk about that. That's a little disgusting. We're going to keep going. If TFC can play out this mid-game and take control on tempo, on gold, that's going to give them a massive advantage. But it's also a limited window. TyLoo have this online Sona, this online Ziggs kind of looming post 15-20 minutes.
And speaking of Sona, I actually like the flash in and then crescendo. Sadly, there was just no sufficient follow-up. But now jumping back, you have the blue team focusing on this Rift Herald. They would want to go or at least play the objective game. But you have a Riven, you also have Darius looking at the side that is going to be Lacey being able to get the Rift Herald. You have the tidal wave being used by this Nami. Crescendo being popped there as well. Now you have the Mega Inferno bomb being landed. But they're trying to isolate Lee Sin. Riven trying to take the kill onto this champion, but it's not going to be enough. At the very least, they already committed a lot of resources and decided to just fall back.
Again, even trading right now I think is good for TFC. It's why Carryman's willing to take the utterly ridiculous dive behind the tier 1 turret to shut down Ziggs. The fact that they're trading even right now is good for the team that isn't supposed to win early, and it keeps the tempo up in a way that's going to make it hard for the late game characters to farm up. If Ziggs is constantly resetting from base, roaming around the map, if Sona is constantly having to play goalkeeper to keep their own team safe, like they did during this team fight, here's a replay actually of what happened in mid. Oh dear lord. But this is a positive trade for TFC because it's taking time that these scaling characters could be farming away from them.
Basically, they're just forcing TyLoo in these pickoffs or in these fights, even though they're supposed to be farmer, they're supposed to be conservative. So I guess that's still gonna be a win for TFC. Now looking at the top part of the map, Sonic Wave did connect. You have the speed boost already being readied here by that. So now Tidal Wave has been committed, but no one is actually gonna go with the engage.
Yeah, call it a Tidal Wave because that gank was a wash. Get it?
I see what you did there. Okay, I approve. All right, but that is the V Lee Sin just jumping in. You have the Mega Inferno bomb being thrown out. Riffel has been used there as well. You have the ultimate coming through from the Oriana at the expense of her very own life. Riffel is still up. Now you have Riffel jumping in at the front line. Already being able to jump in as the Santa Charge being popped by this Ziggs. Now here comes Darius for the cleanup. You also have Akali. He is able to use perfect execution, but will it be enough? The answer is going to be no. He was able to jump out, upper hand connecting on the two. This Darius is very, very tanky. Noxian Guillotine being popped as well, but he is still okay. But at the very least, he got bursted down by this Ziggs. Now looking at the mid lane, the calling has been used by this Lucian, and it is a 1-0 in favor of TL.
A very important fight for TyLoo because it gets the gold where they need it at kind of the last possible moment to reinforce that advantage. Army gets a kill on the Ziggs, building up the potential of the Ziggs in the mid-late game, and we get the turret crumbling in mid. That's the first break of the game, and almost all of the gold goes onto their Kai'Sa. So, overall, net positive to TyLoo. They're going to get a lot of gold onto their mid-game carry in the Kai'Sa, and they've got a little bit of extra gold onto Army, which will help us reach this late game. We are still going!
Tidal Wave is going to be committed right there. That is going to be the Dragon going over to the right side. You have the Shockwave connecting onto 4. Now that is going to be a jump in for the side of blue, but Akali just took so much damage. That is going to be the Icathan Rain. Killer Instinct is way in. Sona saying goodbye. That is going to be a beautiful pick off for the side of TyLoo. Akali saying goodbye as well. It's now
3v3.
a 3v3. What will happen next? Now that is going to be Kai'Sa being able to get Lucian and another kill going over to their side. Now you have the Aqua Priest being committed by this Nami. Good flash to the side from this Orianna. Hex was mindful being popped there as well. But overall, it was a win for TFC.
That is one of the most insane team fights I've ever watched. Some incredible Orianna play across this series, but the flash away to build distance, self-shielding, and getting shielded by Ling on the Nami combines to give TFC a much-needed edge in the back half of that fight, and Drake goes to them as well. So I think it's a net win. They do need to make their plays in this next, few minutes, this next 5 minutes of the team fight. But wow. What a fight, what a game as TyLoo continue to press their early game threats using that Lee Sin Kai'Sa to roam around the side. And then you see the beginnings of the mid-game threat that we're kind of waiting on. I think TFC do win this fight much more cleanly if we don't get some crazy over-aggression there from the Lucian. But overall,
back in this replay.
I was just going to say, overall, I think that is a win for TFC because they get the Drake, because they get gold where they need it, and all of the gold onto TyLoo goes to their early game carries, not their late game carries.
And this is something that you said earlier. The draft from TyLoo is, you're surprised how they actually got away with it. And now this is going to be the consequences just in front of TFC. The calling has been used just so he can clear out the wave. Just a few phase checks here and there to check if someone is trying to get Baron. But apparently no one is there. Now you have Lee Sin just jumping in at the mid lane. Darius pretty much away from his team. So you have 3 champions lurking and probably trying to get this Baron lane turret. Mega Inferno Bomb being popped as well. Kai'Sa still has the Killer Instinct. I'm not sure if she is going to commit it just enough. That's the flash incoming through from this DC, but he was able to pop in the Zoyas at the perfect time. But you also have the crescendo. You have the Tidal Wave being used. Now you have the Ebbing Flow connecting there as well. You have Griffin being able to focus on this Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa saying goodbye. You have the ball being thrown out by Orianna Sona, as well as Ziggs just forced to jump away.
Cat9, what are you doing there, bud? Getting a little lost, getting a little bit hungry for blood in the midst of a very messy game. And you see the decision-making just getting impacted, I think, by the tempo of play. As he goes in for an insect here, look at his available targets here. Kind of the only available target there is the Ling. That's the only character that won't just shrug off the insect. But at that point, you're engaging onto a Nami, and worst case, you die, because you are 100% dying with that engage. You die so that your team can kill the support. That's not worth it. So just a very questionable engage from Cat9 as he goes all in, trading 1-for-1 for the Nami. And TyLoo lose an important team fight as a result. TFC are continuing to spike in the mid-game, which is exactly where they needed to earn back this lead and earn back control of this game. Here we go now for the Baron. They want to start ending this game as quickly as possible.
See if TLC is gonna go with engage, and they did. Tidal Wave being created there as well. Lisa is actually the first one down to get taken down. Now you have Kai'Sa being targeted, and you actually still have the Lucian on the front line. Kai'Sa saying goodbye. Layer of CC, as well as the damage was just too much for them to bear. You have the upper hand connecting onto the Noxian Guillotine. Let's see if the Shuriken Flip is gonna connect. Apparently it will not. So Darius still gets to live another day. I don't think Akali is gonna commit, already using the 5-point strike. She cannot try and take Baron at this time. So a lot of good things, a lot of advantages going over to the side of TFC.
Show me that Lucian fight again. Watch XG. This is the cleanest Lucian fight I've ever seen in Wild Rift. That culling kills 2 people as Aming has no HP left, burns flash to survive it, and XG just stays within perfect range for full combos and executes cycle after cycle after cycle. Doesn't miss a shot. It is pixel perfect. An XG right on his power spike, right upon completing the Infinity Edge, rolls through the entire team fight, gets the Baron for TFC, And this is going to be very hard for TyLoo. They need to last maybe 5-10 more minutes in order to get back into this game. And it's going to be a siege the entire time.
Pick will connect onto the Riven, but 5.6 isn't connect as well. You have the Hourglass coming through, and here comes Nami. Orianna being able to burst Akali down, thus being able to get that turret, but now they are just on the turret trying to maybe get or look for the next possible target. But now TyLoo, they're forced to jump back, looking at the Dragon lane side, though Darius is just focusing on pushing the waves in. You have Lucian at the mid lane. You have this Nami, this Orianna as well at the top part of the map. I mean, you have that Riven rather. Now you have Lucian. At TFC, he actually dashed in. He focused on this Ziggs, but Ziggs still not being able to get taken down. Mega Friend Bomb connecting onto no one, and now you just have TFC knocking onto their enemy's base.
And with the Ziggs this far behind, the wave clear threat isn't actually that significant. Case in point, they're able to shove through Aming's wave clear on the Ziggs, which is going to mean there's a full reset here for TFC. After taking down 2 inhibitors, they'll be able to bring all of their resources in here on this Mountain Drake. TyLoo can't sit in their base with 2 inhibitors down. They're going to have to step up here and fight it and hope for a miracle.
I like to raise something here. If we're gonna look at the side of TyLoo, there is a lot of wards being placed by TFC. So the vision game is just being molded by TFC here, which just gives them a lot more leeway or the luxury to actually move around. That is gonna be the shockwave connecting onto 2 and connecting onto the culling. No one died though, but at the very least they were able to just push TyLoo back because they will be able to get this Mountain Drake non-contested.
And now you can just play the map at your leisure if you're TFC. You do still have a win condition hovering on the horizon at around the 20-minute mark for TyLoo, but I do not foresee a reality. I've done the whole Doctor Strange thing. I've visited a billion different outcomes. I do not foresee one wherein TyLoo lasts another 5 minutes in this game.
Let's see. I mean, your Doctor Strange, so most likely your predictions or the future that you saw will be on point. But now you have TFC. You're going to commit onto the calling just again to focus on TyLoo. They were able to just evade the Mega Inferno Bomb. One important ultimate already being taken down. Now you have the tidal wave being used right after the shockwave is connecting onto 2. But that is going to be a good initiative for the side of TFC. They are trying to just penetrate the base of TyLoo here and there. They're waiting for an opening. They're waiting for someone they can pick off. Could be Akali, could be Lee Sin, but Lee Sin still has that Guardian Angel, and they're not stopping anytime soon. Sonic is connecting onto 1, but Lee Sin not gonna commit anything. Now you have Akali there at the side.
Okay.
This will be quite an overcommit by this Riven. Now Akali saying goodbye. 1 champion already down. 4v5. I don't think TyLoo could commit this. Another beautiful shockwave being committed by Orianna. Sona saying goodbye. They just want to go with the cleanup. You have the Zarns being popped, but that is not gonna be enough. GA is there as well. Won't be enough. Still gonna be enough because the apprehend actually went through. And with that, TFC will be able to bag this game number 2.
TyLoo have a decent early game, and TFC take that personally. They come back into the middle of the game where their composition spikes. What they bet their entire game plan on was during the window between...
This is going to be the second series. Looks like TFC in the heat, already in the heat, being able to get 2-0 in favor of TyLoo. What?
They're in the heat, Yuko? What does that mean?
If you say it that way, oh, you know what? I'm not gonna say anything anymore. TJ, just stop.
TyLoo at the brink of elimination from the semifinals as we continue our coverage of the Spark Invitational here on the Wild Rift competitive co-stream. We're of course not a Riot official broadcast, but we did get permission from Riot to do this stream of China's first qualification tournament for Worlds, for Wild Rift Worlds. That's one of the prizes here at the very end alongside a decent chunk of money. Game number 1 was pretty dominant for TFC. Game number 2 looked close as TyLoo were able to keep things interesting for the first 10 minutes. Then it was pretty dominant for TFC, and that sets the stage, Yuko, for this Game 3.
Here's the draft here, though, for TyLoo. They're still gonna stick with the Sona and the Kali, but I like the small tweaks that they did. Looks like it's gonna be an ADC 6, and now, TFC, they picked up this Leona.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Leona's one of my favorite characters. And she'll take to the rifts here for TFC, and I think it will enable their playstyle, which is very aggressive, very engage-focused. Leona's still very good at that as a very CC-heavy character. I'm going to throw it over to our wonderful faces for a hot second here, just to reinforce for anyone who's just joining us that this is an unofficial broadcast. My name's TJ, joined by Yuko for the potentially very final game of the day. But we will be here for every day of this Spark Invitational hereafter. You can find the stream always here at twitch.tv/wildrift competitive. You can find all the updates. Hang on, I've got this. Nope, that's the wrong thing. I almost had it. You can find all the updates about competitive Wild Rift over at, point to it, Yuko, Wild Rift Competitive on Twitter, at WR Competitive.
I literally pointed at it, so there's it. That's it.
You did a very good job, and because of that, because of your hard work, we can get back into the game.
And back in the game we are. So again, this could possibly be the last game for the second series. Let's see though, will TFC be able to close this out cleanly, or will TyLoo be able to push this to a game number 4? I heard Taz said that he believes in reverse sweep. We have a music ready if ever we're gonna see a game number 4. But TFC really looking at their best right now.
Yeah, and you know, looking at the draft they have, I think it will further this very aggressive playstyle that they built their games around, spiking in the mid game and ending the game very quickly thereafter because of their prioritization on not just objectives but on Baron and the immediate deployment of that Baron. I'm not sure exactly what's taking so long here. Somebody's phone running slow. But I did see the loading icon on one of their screens, or the loading screen on one of their screens. So they're getting there. There we go.
Alright, so we're gonna hop into the game for this game number 3, and I actually have my eye on Lee Sin, which is now in the side of TFC, and see how will they be able to utilize that. But again, this is second series. Will TyLoo be able to do something, or will TFC still be the team that will get out of this game alive? But now you have a pretty early aggression coming through from TyLoo, but at the very least TFC was able to answer to that. They do not want to come in too near because you still have Leona with the hook.
So let's talk team compositions to start us off here. We do have Sona Ziggs, which is going to be an incredibly powerful late game duo down bottom, and TFC have the tools to shut that down early with the Leona. Right, this is what I was talking about when I said engage heavy playstyle. They're going to want to, right off the bat, press that Leona as soon as she hits level 2, level 3. Oh, yeah, here we go.
See, right on cue, but now you have the satchel charge for this engage at the very least, was able to save his own life there and just force Leona to jump back. Now you have Lucian just focusing on targeting the enemies and the minion wave just to stop the aggression from this very powerful Dragon Lane duo. Now you have Lee Sin lurking at the mid part of the map, rather, did try to get his eyes on Riven, but the Sonic Wave is not going to connect.
So there is a built-in counter to this pressure, and that is going to be Galio in the mid line. Once Galio hits level 5, this is hard to do, but he's not there yet, and Ronin's in trouble.
Surprise, surprise, from the side of TFC. Looks like they would like to go with the fight. That SDB jumping, but he just gets taunted, gets stunned. That SDB Galio jumping in, Sona being able to get that blood. That SDB Leona being taken down. Now you have the heals coming through from this Sona. At the very least, TFC forced to jump back, but you know what? They just got greeted by this Riven. TyLoo being able to get the first 3 kills of the game.
That was an incredible team fight from TyLoo. Everything went perfectly. Ronin starts it with a spectacular escape from the pressure, able to flash over the top, and then they're instantly healed. Watch this from Mach 1. Heal. Spam the summoner spell heal as well. Ronin's tagged through it all. Here's aiming on the flank, able to come in, land a 3-man taunt, get the follow-up, good target prio, getting rid of the CC first, then pivoting to the Orianna. And right when you think, oh, well, I guess that's it, here comes Cat 9. The gag's all here. It's a reunion episode of Friends, and TFC are absolutely slaughtered during the early game, with TyLoo getting everything they need to set up for that late game Ziggs Sona duo and boost into the safety of Galio hitting level 5. Now it's going to be very difficult to repeat that kind of gank because there will always be a heroic entrance to counter it.
And now looking back at Perling side, the usual Akali versus Darius matchup, but looks like Akali is now in a much more comfortable position. But that's going to be Darius still trying to hold his ground. And looking at the Dragon lane side, you have Sona just helping out this Riven. Bouncing bounce will be used to check if someone is at the bush. Apparently the answer is going to be yes. So Lucian as well, as Leona has no other choice but to show their position, or at least just try to go back into farming. Lee Sin going in with their recalls as well. The usual Orianna and Galio matchup at the mid lane. Just a few pokes here and there. However, first Dragon and the Rift Herald will be up in 20 seconds.
Priority during these matches has gone over to the Rift Herald. It is considered the more valuable of the two objectives right now because you get to choose who you're snowballing into. However, the other option here is no mere Drake. It is an Infernal Drake, which is very high prio for most teams. And I was wondering if maybe TyLoo would shift their attention towards it because they wanted to go into the late game. But it seems TyLoo hold to the standard prioritization. They're going to shift their entire team up on the map in order to get that Rift Herald. And TFC will be rewarded with the first strike of the game.
Actually have to agree with that. Oh, there is going to be the upper hand connecting. Let's see if Darius will be able to finish up the kill. You have the Shuriken Flip connecting onto this Darius. That is going to be Akali being able to proc the Assassin's Mark very quickly, but still was not able to finish off the kill. At the very least, TyLoo was able to get that Rift Herald. You have Sona as well as this Riven rotating over to the Baron lane. They could try and go with the pickoff or maybe get this turret, but that is the Rift Herald being summoned there as well. They just stepped a bit back because they saw Lee Sin is there as well. You had the Mega Inferno Bomb coming through from this Ziggs, but TFC is still holding out pretty well.
I'm going to be honest. Don't get me wrong, I'm really excited for what TyLoo are doing. That was a terrible use of the Rift Herald. That was kind of abysmal. Rift Herald collides with the turret. All the gold goes on to Cat9, which isn't the end of the world, but it's not the target priority you want. You want to give it to either Ronin or Mark 1 for the late game, and it goes to neither of them. So this is going to be a bit of a snowball on the Riven, but not a whole lot more. We'll see what they earn out of it with the back. You know, that as a use of time got 200 gold, a little bit more advantage. And that completes a black cleaver. Good lord. It's 5 a.m. here. Cut me some slack. But that completes a black cleaver. And not a whole lot more. That's not what I would have expected TyLoo to prioritize. So I do wonder if that was maybe a case of nerves. Or maybe just a case of wanting to immediately reinvest it into the snowball.
But look at that, it's going to be the taunt connecting on the two. There is no follow-up though, but you have Lee Sin lurking at the side. That is going to be the Honey Fruit being picked up by Galio. No follow-ups, no actual commitments just yet. But at the very least, TFC knows there is no more taunt. Lucian going to go in the kite. That is to be the calling being landed. That is going to be the Mega Inferno Bomb connecting on the two. You have the Crescendo, but looking at the left part of the map, you have Riven focusing on this Lee Sin. Riven jumping in, but instead the kill actually went over to this Lee Sin and TFC. They could still push their chances because now TyLoo, they are just falling back.
And here's the flank from Carryman. Mark 1 has been so good this game so far. Incredible work on the Sona, but now threatened underneath the turret by Carryman. We'll be able to stay safe. We'll be able to survive the downtime. And now we get to return to our original stakes, our original setup. TyLoo do not have early game threat. They are looking to last till the late game, wherein their team fight is incredible. However, prior to, I'm going to say 15 minutes at this rate, 20 minutes at a more reasonable one, TyLoo don't do a whole lot. They're kind of going to be sitting tight, trying to play through the Galio Ziggs to just last into the mid-late game. And over on the TFC side, they spike in this upcoming 10 minutes. They're going to spike around the 10-minute mark and be really powerful till about 15, maybe fall off a little bit after that, depending on how TyLoo are doing. So these next couple of fights are really important.
Oh, there's going to be the Akali being boxed in, but will she survive? The answer is to be no, even though she was able to use perfect execution, still gets bursted down by the Lee Sin. Now looking at the mid lane, you have a 3 champions holding their ground, but they are not going to fully commit onto that skirmish. Also, As you can see, TyLoo was able to get one Baron lane turret because they saw that Lee Sin alongside two other champions was rotating towards the dragon lane. So they got the vision, they got the information, and actually was able to went in with the trade.
And that's why it's a little insane that Rain opted to go for the Leona. I believe Rain can kill the Leona quite quickly, uncontested. But if you look at this, it's always a negative fight for Rain in the 1v2. Leona's a hard counter to assassin characters like this. And Rain had the intel that their team was pushing up on the top side and not encountering anyone. And if your team is up top and finding nobody, and you're down bottom and you see a support, you should assume that the rest of the team is nearby them. You certainly don't need to take the risk.
Leona hiding at the picture bush, but looks like that is gonna be her jumping in as well as committing the
Drake
ultimate. No
resets.
certain follow up though. You also have the Drake being reset, but you have Gaio looking aside. Is he gonna jump in with the heroes? And I don't think so. Actually, he is gonna commit in there, gonna connect onto nothing. But beautiful crescendo coming through from this zona. Gaio that dashes in. Taunt's not coming through. Good disengage coming in from the Saturn charge. You have the bombs being thrown out by Ziggs, and it was a 1-for-1 in favor of no one.
Really well played by Mark 1 again, though, cancelling out the impact to the shockwave with a very well-timed self-heal. The shield on that AoE heal, providing far more value there than just the heal would alone. And then the crescendo shuts down the punish. Sure, you land the shockwave, that's scary, but if the damage is neutralized by the heal, and the punish from the stun is neutralized by the crescendo, you've achieved absolutely nothing with a pretty major cooldown.
Beautiful jump in as well as the upper hand coming through from this terrace, but at the very least Ariana was not able to layer that out with her shockwave, so TFC is just gonna fall back and focus on the J kit again. But now TL, they could slowly make their at least box in TFC. Mega Inferno Bomb being thrown out, Hexplosive Minefield being thrown out as well, but looks like it will be a non-contested Ocean Dragon going over to TFC.
And it happens because TyLoo are slow on the reset. They don't pull the plug as soon as TFC do. TFC recognize after the 1-for-1 trade that there's no way TyLoo can take the dragon, so they just vanish. They just recall, reset, come back to take the fight. TyLoo hang around for a little while, and that's a mistake, especially considering that TFC have Illusion, because what happens is TFC come back in off of the reset with full HP, with an item advantage, ready to scrap, and TyLoo still need to go back to base. So they do that, and because TFC have Illusion, they just melt that dragon. And it's going to be a pretty significant lead over to TFC as a result, with 2 dragons, and we're in their comfort zone now. This is when TFC want to win the game. Over the course of the next 5 minutes, their characters, their composition is coming online. You can see XG at the Charge Blade Spike, and we're about to get into Rabadon's territory for this mid-Orianna.
I actually thought Macaulay was gonna try and focus on Oriana there, but looks like both teams just want to play this one out safely or turtle this game out maybe. But TFC still at the upper part of the map. They are waiting for an opening that will be shown into the side of TyLoo. But now you have 3 champions at the mid lane. They could focus on clearing out the wave and eventually maybe even take down Miss Oriana. 1v3, 3v1, you know, let's be the shockwave for nothing else to do. But here comes Lee Sin with a beautiful insect kick. Mega Inferno Bomb being thrown this all. You have those coming through from this Leona. Hero's entrance as well as the crescendo and the calling being popped in. And there, no one actually dying just yet, and both teams just went in with a disengage. But Oriana, that burst though, the command attack, just forced TyLoo to jump back.
This series is incredible, and that team fight was incredibly complex. You could see the benefits Mark 1 was again achieving for his team, and I think overall, as it trades even, that's a win for TyLoo. Any moment where they're just stalling on the map gets them closer to that Ziggs zone, a late game. Case in point, we have just completed the Rabadon's death cap on the Ziggs, which is going to be a pretty major power spike in terms of the AP damage that's coming out from the Mega Inferno Bombs.
he could be able to win this 1v1. You have Darius in. He does jump in.
Jesus!
He flashes in. But that is a beautiful Zonya's artist being popped by Sakali. Instead, not Irelia, Riven was the one that secured that kill. Now looking at the Baron lane side, Lucian was able to get the top lane turret. Baron is still up, but no one is paying attention to that just yet because they want to hunt. They want to get turrets, and Triforce being picked up by KG. But that is going to be initially coming through from TFC. Kicks connecting onto one. Let's see if they'll be able to get the kill. That is going to be a no. Instead, Lee Sin was the first one to get taken down. Shockwave connecting onto two, and TFC just falling back. They do not have the means to re-engage, and the TyLoo still gonna keep the pressure going because they know they are in the lead.
Mark 1 is perfect in these team fights. This Sona is inspiring, able to manage all of the aggression coming in and perfectly time the shielding with when big bursts of damage are about to come through onto key carries. There's never a moment where those key carries are exposed, and all the time in between the shielding, in between the damage amp, is move speed amp. Increasing the speed at which characters like Ronin playing Ziggs can stay ahead of just auto attacks coming out from Lee Sin, forcing them to spend cooldowns to get in range, and then healing them through the damage that comes through immediately after they get in range. Really perfect Sona play, and that's making a massive difference in these mid-game team fights, as TyLoo should be at a disadvantage composition-wise.
Actually made me think, is it Mac 1 or is it Mackie? Just, questions popping into my mind.
Who knows? Flip a coin.
Right? Well, Pulse did say Mackie sounds cuter, so I'm gonna go with Mackie because why not? Make it from the bomb being thrown out. Here comes the engage coming through from TyLoo. They're gonna jump in. You have the artist being popped. You have the heroes and just connecting out to them, but that is gonna be a 3 or 5 champion Shockwave, but it's not gonna be enough. Leona gets taken down. Akali saying goodbye. That is gonna be Lucian trying to dash his way to safety. Was able to get one. Here comes Orianna flashing in. Command attack, but did not get anyone just yet. Will they be able to at least survive this one? That is going to be a no because it was a 2-3 in favor of TyLoo.
And TyLoo on the brink of elimination from this semi-final have now reached their win condition. Take a look at that scoreboard. We've hit the 15-minute mark, and this Sona is online, and this Ziggs is online. And that is an intimidating combination. As you can see, the presence it offers to the back of these fights is nearly uncounterable, and it buys time for the Galio to now act as secondary engage, able to get into that front line, find a 3-man taunt, and all the way through it, Maki is providing that shielding, that damage amp, the speed boost to keep the team safe. TFC really have one final Hail Mary they can throw, and it is right here. Use the speed of the Lucian's objective take to burn down the Baron or the Elder Drake when they come up in the next couple of moments.
Apprehend connecting onto one. That is going to be a jump in. You have the crescendo being used as well as with knockup after knockup. But will TL be able to survive that? Is it be yes, no, maybe here Heroes Enters being popped in there. You have Zanya's coming through. But just the life or the bodies of TFC is just dropping onto the floor. You have this focus on Lee Sin. He just gets burned by this Galio. And the only one down for the side of TyLoo is Ronin.
Carryman cannot go in there. You're a late game Lee Sin investing into a 1v4 just like he did during game number 1 with a very strange kick commitment, if you remember that. The second you're trying to invest into a 1v4, it's going to result in this because now the Lee Sin isn't up when they're necessary for this Baron take. And TyLoo are uncontested. They have a slow take. It's a dangerous take, but there's nobody that can steal it away on the map. So Baron's going to go over to TyLoo, and they're going to guarantee they get to their late game.
For a second there, I thought Leona was going to try and go with the steal, but that's
Solar
very
Flare
unlikely.
Steal.
Right? 16 minutes in.
I stole a dragon with Solar Flare the other day, and I've never felt smugger. I've never
wow,
felt
okay,
better.
So that's something you could just show to our pro players. But looking back into the replay here.
Look at this weird commitment from Carryman, just kind of walking in, trying to find auto attack damage. It's not a good investment of your time if you're the team's jungler as Baron is up on the map. You need to be playing with respect to the fact that you're not providing a ton of damage in this late game as a Lee Sin, and your biggest value on the map is the fact that you carry a smite. And the fact that he is just walking in like that is very dangerous, and it costs the team.
Leona initiate, but TFC will be able to go with the follow through. You have to make it for no bomb. The damage was just too much. Riven being able to CC the hell out of TFC. Now you have 3 champions down. They're jumping into the base. They are focus firing onto the base of TFC. Will already be able to defend this. They need to clear the minion wave. They are able to do so, but there is a fresh wave of minions just jumping in. Guy at the front line. Tosser are gonna come through. Ariana saying goodbye. Now this could be the game for the side of TyLoo.
I said earlier, Ziggs is a late game carry, and if we get to the late game, there's gonna be no contest for TFC's comp. I would like to, just play that last replay of the Mega Inferno Bomb as vindication. There's nothing you can do about that. They reached late game. Everyone on that team is unkillable due to the excellent Sona play from Maki. TyLoo, that last game, we're at game number 4 as TyLoo claw back a game win in game number 3 of this series, driving us potentially all the way. They could get the equalizer and our second game 5 of the evening here as we have been broadcasting the quarterfinals of the Spark Invitational. We're into the draft here in game number 4.
Can I just say that if this pushes to a game number 5, TJ casted 10 out of 10 games. And it's almost 6 a.m. at your place. How are you still up?
Well, my secret is actually that I don't do caffeine. A lot of casters get really into like Red Bull and Monster Energy because it's the only way to survive the hours. But the second you get addicted to Red Bull and Monster Energy, then you can't stay up that late without Red Bull and Monster Energy. So my secret is that the most caffeine I do is tea. And I drink like some black tea, and that's a lot for me. I'm like, whoa, that's a lot of caffeine. And that'll get me through the evening because I'm not acclimated to caffeine.
Oh, so that's one of the secrets that TJ has. So we're gonna jump back into the draft. Riven. I actually want to try that. So maybe tomorrow or the day after. Let's see if that works. For TFC side, you have Riven, Gragas, and then the Corki. TyLoo answers that with they're still gonna pick up the Ziggs. Now it is gonna be accompanied by a Graves and Garen, but they're still gonna hold their ground with this Galio.
Until we go into it. So, really tanky frontline actually out of TyLoo, and they build around this kind of drain tank setup now, which is going to be Garen, it's going to be Galio, it's going to be Graves as this frontline that can just soak up anything and regain HP from it, essentially. You're promising the cycle. Whereas over on the TFC side, they've got the same ton of burst, the same team fight that they were trying to execute last game. You go for the Orianna with plenty of bull carriers in the Corki, in the Olaf, in the Riven. They're going to engage as hard as they can into that front line and try to burst through like the HP regen that something like a Graves offers before it can really get going.
If you're actually going to look at the upper left screen earlier, the graph significantly, the vote rather for the side of TyLoo significantly got higher after the previous game. So I see what the audience are doing. They're trying to just vote with whoever was able to win. But going back into the draft for this game, I'd have to maybe give it to TFC, but TyLoo, they, for some reason, whenever they have this Sona, they make things happen. So is this their secret champion or their lucky champion, if you may?
I hope so. We'll find out as we go to game number 4. And I've just realized I've got an entirely new audio setup, Yuko. And I've got a new button that does this.
Okay.
I don't know if you can hear this.
Oh, I did, yeah.
I've got a I've realized as I've been doing today that I literally I don't swear. I've trained it out of me. So I don't know how I'm ever going to use it. So that's my goal for this game, is give me a reason, TyLoo, to use the button.
Well, okay, here's the thing. If this reaches game number 5, I think you'll be needing that button.
It'll be insane.
Right, exactly.
That's the hope. Game number 4. I was ready. I almost said 5. TyLoo able to strike back with a dominant game 4 after kind of having the floor wiped with them for a couple of games in a row. And they put their bet in the same core strategy, which is we're going to tank through the mid game and we're going to last into Zig Sona territory, wherein TyLoo are kings. And that's hard to get to in Wild Rift. That's post 15-20 minutes, and TFC have demonstrated a propensity for dominating mid games if they can get rolling. Which means that actually, despite the late game composition, an awful lot of this game actually depends on the early game. How much do TyLoo get as runway, as space they can travel for free before you start ticking that clock, before you start chewing away at their lead?
And I guess it's just gonna depend on whether I see a trend here, TyLoo, the moment we jumped into the Rift, they have this 3-champion group, maybe just storming in the Dragon lane or in the mid lane. If they get a trade out of that, they just snowball. If they don't, they kind of struggle. So let's see if that's what's going to happen for this game number 4.
Also, I was kind of let down. We did like this really climactic. They did their big portal thing.
Right.
And then we came out and it was the TyLoo players looking bored.
We hyped that one up, man.
Yeah, here, let me amp up our music on our end. And we can just sit here. Oh, it's a nice, relaxing tune. Here, let me make it so you can hear it too. You can. And we can just, like, vibe for a bit. How's that for you?
Right, it's perfect. Thank you. Very chill. It really matches the face of our players right now as they wait for game number 4. So now here are the player cams coming through. The guy on the left just leaning back. He actually closed his eyes before game number 1 started, so I kind of remember the player now.
I've been up for like 26 hours. You don't get to look tired.
You have a point there, though.
Do I look tired, eSports boy? There we go. We got the music ticked up to inspirational. I really do still, these like sci-fi esports booths are still doing it for me.
They'll never go out of style. I mean, esports, electronics, and just a stage full of lights. It's bound to be futuristic.
I feel like there's a movie from like the 70s where they're doing esports, and this is what they like thought esports was going to be like. And now we're here. I feel like we're delivering on something.
Predictions were on point. The future really did deliver. And looks like we're gonna pan back into the game. Will TyLoo dare to go wild, or will TFC be able to close the series out? We just have to wait for game number 4 to start, and the players are just taking their sweet time.
What other buttons do I have on this new audio interface? Oh no, hang on. I can bring the music down. And I can bring up the game, because it's game time for game number 4.
Finally here into the Rift. Now, we did not see a 3-champion invade or aggression in the early game. Looks like they're just gonna play this one out safely. But looking now at the Dragon Lane side, you have Corky, you also have Gragas, just a few pokes here and there. Olaf just there at the back line of the sides. You also have Riven just trying to go back and maybe get her honey fruit because she just got damaged a lot by Ran.
Can I get your prediction, Yuka? You've seen the draft, we've talked about it. Are we going game 5?
I feel like we're gonna see a first blood for the side of TFC right here, but looks okay. It's gonna be a no. Now you have Garen. That is gonna be a jump in, a flash in. He was able to use junction, but that is gonna be the jump connecting onto one. First blood going over to the side of the red team for TyLoo. I was about to say, my vote goes to TFC, but looks like TyLoo's power got awakened.
Oh my god, the honey fruit! That was some of the slickest honey fruit mechanics I've seen in a while. Not ever. There were a bit better honey fruit mechanics, but that was pretty sick.
It was.
Rain out of trouble, and he's able to win the fight immediately afterwards. Show it to me again. Right on top from like 1 HP, KG then turns the table, thinks he can go back in, realizes there's no HP and nothing, no wall to jump over there. and just loses out the trade. And this is devastating, actually, for a Riven who relies on getting an early lead over a character like Garen and Lane.
Ponzi is gonna like on the two. Now you have the knock-up after knock-up. You also have the Gatling on being popped there by Corki. Corki, the safe part of the backlines, that instantly be the kill going over to Graves. Now you have Sona jumping in with the extra damage, with the extra stain. At the very least, they were able to even things out with a 1-1.
What am I watching? Okay. TyLoo still benefiting from these early trades as ever. TyLoo want these fights to go as dead even as possible because it gets every moment that they're fighting, every moment that there's even trading happen on the map, the game is at a stalemate, and the later we go, the better it is for TyLoo because they are waiting on that Ziggs, on that Sona combo to carry them out to the late game. So all of this trading is technically a net positive for them, but it's so scary because if you lose Ziggs, Sona like even once here, their game might be over.
There you have Gabe just focusing on this Orianna, but Orianna has no other choice but to play this one out safely. Again, Rain being able to get the early lead. Looks like Riven will just be forced to turtle this one out.
This lane's just done for the next 10 minutes.
Goodbye.
Because now you have item advantage over to Rain, and it's already kind of hard to fight Garen early, but now there's just Riven's not going to have an effect. She's got a pool noodle. It's like that Fiora skin. She's just slapping him with a pool noodle, and he's not noticing.
Nothing's gonna happen, sadly. But at the very least, maybe KG can just focus on getting items in. However, looking here at the Dragon Lane, wow, these Dragon Lane duo definitely into the aggressive side. They're not gonna pull through. They're not gonna push through, actually. They would just take a step back and just throw out some missiles here and there to try and push Ronin back. Now, Repelled, as well as the first dragon, which is an Ocean Drake, is now up. You have the initiate coming through from Galio, but apparently it's not gonna be enough. No follow-ups as well, and Olaf already used his Ragnarok.
So Ocean Drake is up. And TyLoo, for once, are prioritizing it. Oh no, they're shifting up here. We're going to have a fight over this Rift Herald. TyLoo stepping in aggressive versus TFC here in the mid lane to try and contest for the Rift Herald. It's Olaf on the case, though, so it should be a fairly quick take if they don't intervene quickly.
This game definitely is all about that full-on 5v5 team fights. Fun of Life is going to be proc. Now you have Sona just securing that speed boost. Rift Herald has been reset. This could be the opening that TyLoo could wait for. Galio looking at that. Is going to jump in a flash. Is going to make a friend of Bomb being popped as well. Olaf being able to get that Rift Herald. Now you have the special delivery being popped by Corki, but he just flashed out. Now you have Sona at the front line. Sona flashing out, but looks like TFC will be able to get that ace earlier on, and even though they got first blood, they were able to get that first ace.
A very questionable engage from TyLoo because they don't have the advantage in this fight. They still almost win it, but it's a massive package-enabled Valkyrie that tags both of the key carries. And the second that both Ronin and Mach 1 are burned down to maybe 10 HP by that package-enabled Valkyrie, the fight is just over, and the game may be as well, because there's no backline damage on the horizon now as well. That's a massive blow to the key carries. You can see they're almost 1,000 gold now behind XG's Corki. I don't know if there's a path to victory anymore. It's going to be a long and slow one after that complete ace with so much of the gold going on to XG as he landed a truly massive ultimate.
If anything, I'd have to say that TyLoo, they could either go with the pick-off game or go with the objective game, which I don't think TFC wants, because in this lineup, they just want to keep on fighting the same aggression, the same tempo that we felt in game number 1. That is going to be the taunts connecting 1v1. Who's that is going to be the hero's entrance being popped just to make sure he will get out of there alive. At the very least, he was able to force Ragnarok out of Olaf, but still, the turret gets taken down.
Very well played by TFC using the Olaf. Carryman getting into range, and there's just nothing a Galio can do against that. They get a free turret by the Rift Herald. And that'll be all nothing in response. So really, really well played by TFC, and I don't see a way back into this for TyLoo at this point. I'm going to call it. GG, go next.
All right, so it looks like that is that is gonna be the game. We have a 3-1 in favor. Just kidding. We're still gonna see through with the game, of course. But I'm
Hang
just
on,
saying,
let me throw to the
TJ.
break screen. That'll be our broadcast for today.
That is true. Thank you so much for watching. Just kidding. But now you have the crescendo being popped in by this one. But you know what? You have the ultimate coming through from Ariana as well. On top of the explosive cast, they were able to get one. Sona still alive. Here comes Graves a tad bit too late to the party because now TFC is just falling back.
Yeah, good catch out there in the middle of the map as the, gold lead continues to grow. I was talking, I want to get a little bit more into why it's GG go next. Because the TL advantage, the lead, is built into their late game. TyLoo are relying on Sona and Ziggs to win and end this game for them. And at this point, Sona and Ziggs, for the entire foreseeable future, are going to be behind Orianna and Corki, who have both amassed massive gold leads. So that win condition, which is normally around the 15-20 minute mark, is now at least 25, maybe 30 minutes into game.
Here comes the engage. You have the judgment being popped, but you know what? They forgot about Olaf and his Ragnarok that is to be popped. At the very least, Garen actually the first one to get taken down. Corki jumping in with the Gatling gun was able to pick off one. Here comes Gagas throwing out the cast. Here comes Games dashing in as well. He could try and defend this. That is to be the Mega Inferno bomb being popped by Ziggs. Looking at the Jackal late side, it was a 1v1. Riven being able to fully commit on this Galio, still chasing him down. Stuns coming through. Kill going over to Riven. Looking back here at the barrel lane side, Sona saying goodbye. Now you have a 3-1. Graves apparently trying to delay the inevitable, but he still gets taken out.
So the gold lead continues to grow, and you can see the impact of the snowball has already started rolling downhill. That Orianna and XG on the Corki are just so far ahead right now that their individual auto attacks, their individual pressure from the basic attacks of Corki are just burning through anything. The shielding that made such a difference during game number 1 from Mach 1 is being crumbled by a single auto attack from this Corki. So I don't see a way, at least in the next 20 minutes, for TyLoo to turn this game around. Now, if they can last 30 minutes into this game, then sure, maybe Sona Ziggs just turns it regardless. You complete Rabadons on the Ziggs, and it's probably still going to make a pretty massive dent in TFC, kind of regardless of game state. But I don't see us getting there.
At the very least, they were able to push TFC back here at the mid lane, was able to clear out the wave. But
Yuko,
looking at the... Yes?
I'm going to be real, that's a very low standard.
Come on, I mean, we know the advantage that they have, but still. I'm
You're right, they did clear the wave, my bad. They cleared the wave, that was good of them.
The belief, the slither of hope, as long as the Nexus is still there, despite the almost 10k gold lead that TFC has.
Yeah, I was being mean, Yuko. You are right. They are doing a great job clearing that mid wave. Keep hope alive.
Right, but yeah, now TFC still has the lead. On top of that, they will be able to get this Mountain Drake non-contested. Given that TyLoo is, I'm not sure if they have their hands on this Baron or if they're looking for a possible target, but they're still not getting anything or still not getting any resources out of the map.
You can see KG there on the flank finding a solo kill. Here's your replay of what happened up in the top lane. That's a little scaring. Riven, I think, undervalued currently. People are, in the West especially, treating Riven like a kind of worse Aurelia. And she's got real teamfight potential in a way that, like, Aurelia and Fiora, the other big carry top laners, don't have.
That is going to be the body slam connecting onto. You also have the shockwave on top of that. Now you have the hero's entrance coming through. Sona saying goodbye. So much damage coming through from the side of the blue team. Olaf being able to get one. Zig saying goodbye. Riven at the front line. Corki with the Gatling gun still targeting this guy, but at the very least he was not able to get that kill. Galio under turret. Will they box him in? He is going to try and defend himself. It was a 1-3 in favor of TFC. Now here comes the re-engage. A jump in. Toss not going to connect, but Corki is still safe at the back. That is to be Galio jumping out, leaving the turret to its death and more breathing space for TFC.
And just like that, it's going to be incredible pressure down the middle of the map. Turret falling, and the second a mid-turret falls, the second a mid-tier 1 falls in Wild Rift, that pretty much ends the game unless you have really heroic efforts coming out of TyLoo, because they're not going to be able to access their own jungle without impressive effort from this point forward. It's going to be very difficult for them to get their own camps. It's going to be almost impossible for them to contest neutral river objectives. So, you know, as I've been saying, it's a real rough game for TyLoo. If they last another 18 minutes, maybe that changes.
I don't think TFC is gonna wait for another 18 minutes. As you can see, Olaf was targeting Carried in there, was not able to reach it though. So they're gonna default back to what works. You have Garen jumping in with the Judgment. You also have Riven at the side. I'm not sure if they're gonna commit with the 1v1s, but you have Corki alone at the barrel lane side. Oriana making their way up. They could try and take Galio out. They do have the sufficient damage. Baron is still untouched because at this point, TFC, they are aware of the lead and the itemizations that they have. They just want to go in with the fight.
I mean, semi-finals, TyLoo absolutely are going to try and scrape their way back into this.
But I'm connecting onto one. You also have the Mega Inferno being popped at the barrel lane side, but it was just too early. Baron being secured by Olaf. After getting that, TFC, they want to get more kills. They want to get more blood. They are going to try and chase down Sona, but they'll be able to get away. At the very least, they are able to take out the outer mid lane turret. The longer the game is, the smaller the map is for TyLoo.
And so here's the point. Where do you turn things round, right? Being the optimist for TyLoo here, I think it comes from Ami, who needs to go huge on this Galio and just find value right now.
Shendu has been used. That is going to be Olaf forced to flash out, but it's not going to be enough because he got chased down by this Garen. Now that is to be a good engage for the side of TyLoo, but still pretty tanky for the side of TFC. Remember, Corki's the back line. Hero's End is going to be committed in there. Riven being able to take out Sona, and now TFC jumping in with the re-engage. You have Gifts to the back line. Galio being chased down. Riven just jumping in. He doesn't care, even if he is in the base of their enemies. Garen being able to secure the kill. But that was a 2-1 in the favor of TyLoo.
Being real, that's a bit of a throw, TFC. And I get that they're having fun with it, but there's an opportunity on the map here for TyLoo to try and turn that into a little bit more control. You can see here exactly what I was talking about, the Galio's ability to kind of lock down this moment, and of course decent damage, relatively uncontested in the mid line. So Winds of War, for instance, still doing damage. KG single-minded though, chasing the Sona down for a kill. And upon that, it should have been an easy Drake. Instead, KG was like, what if I dive the Nexus? And it turns out you die.
Surprisingly, I mean, you jump right into the base. There are enemies. Garen is there. I did not expect you actually die. But jumping back into almost a 15-minute mark, yes, Ziggs throwing out that Mega Inferno bomb, but Corki is still alive. Now you have TFC just pouring into the base of TyLoo. TyLoo just forced to hold or stay in their safe area. Oh, no, that is going to be... Okay, wow, a 3-champion Shockwave and SCB, the explosive cast being thrown out as well. Just the lives of TyLoo being decimated by TFC. Garen, one of the frontliners, actually being taken down. No minions so far that is entering the side of TyLoo. But TFC, they still want to completely take out any other turret, any surviving minion for TyLoo. That is going to be Galio being bursted down, Corki being able to get the turret, and TFC focusing fire on to the Nexus. Even though that was a good fight, looks like TFC, they want to end this with a 3-1, and they're still going at it. Game the W going over to TFC.
That shockwave hit so hard that TyLoo members, I think their grandparents felt it. And the chain results of all of that is your semi-finals are complete. TyLoo, unfortunately for them, are knocked out of the Spark Invitational without a world slot, as TFC advance now to the semi-finals. Quarterfinals will continue tomorrow when we return, with more games still to be broadcast, as always available here at twitch.tv/WildRift Competitive. Thank you very much for watching today. Now let's bring up, what music do you think we're playing right now? I like it. It's got like a dubstep vibe, Yuka.